Hello students, good afternoon. Welcome to the briefing session for IELTS. Now we are going to address the reading module, which is usually the third module for the paper-based test. And it is WLR, which is writing first, followed by listening and then reading. Whereas for computer-based test, it is LRW, that is listening, reading, and writing. Whichever mode you take the test in, the module is the same, the question types are the same, strategies, marking system, everything remains the same. So now I'd like to share a PPT with you and explain the reading module with some tips, techniques, and strategies along with the types of questions and the structure of the test. After which I'll be taking you through one of the sample tests and explaining to you how you find the answers and how you go about the answers in a little practical way. So you can take notes if you wish to, or you can take screenshots of the slides which I'm going to be sharing with you. Just give me half a minute, please. I'll share the PPT now with you and I will share my screen. I hope all of you can see the screen I'm sharing now. Let's go to the reading module. The structure of the reading test is the time duration, which is 60 minutes, which is equal to 1 hour. And there will be 40 questions totally, and each correct answer carries 1 mark. The 40 questions are divided into 3 passages, and each passage would have 13 questions, and one passage would have 14 questions. So that is 13 threes are 39 plus 1 is 40. The level of difficulty of the passages increases in ascending order, which means the first passage is okay, the second one is a little tougher than the first one, and third passage is the longest and the toughest passage, regardless of whether it is general reading or academic reading. The answers will not be in order most of the time, which means you have to read the question and you have to scroll through the passage up and down and look for the answers. The answers are many times all jumbled up, they may not be in order. However, having said that, all the answers to the 40 questions are contained in the 3 passages in the texts. So you don't really need prior knowledge of that subject or of that topic, which means even if you do not know anything about that topic or subject, you can still get 40 out of 40. It is possible because all the answers are contained in the passages given to you. It's just about how you read and how you understand and extract the answers. Here in reading, there is no extra time to transfer your answers to a separate answer sheet like you have in listening. So for reading test, you have to write your answers directly onto your OMR answer sheet and do not write your answers on the question paper, because then that would be a waste of time. You read the questions, you read the passages, locate the answers, and then write your answers only once directly onto the OMR answer sheet, which will be provided to you. This answer sheet, a sample of it is also provided to you in the Dropbox. You need to take a sample of that, take a printout, and take multiple copies, and please use them during your classes so that you get the feeling of how to write, how to adjust your handwriting within the limited space in the columns and boxes which are provided, which are already printed on that answer sheet. So this is the structure of the test. Now let's look at the 2 different reading types of questions which you get. There's one which is called general reading and the other one is academic reading. Some students wish to go abroad to study, so they would be doing the academic test, and those who want to go to work abroad, when they're looking for a PR, they will be doing the general reading. Another category of people who will also need to do academic test is any medical professional. Medical professionals should also take up academic test even if they're going to work abroad. Now, there is a slight difference in the general reading and academic reading, wherein in the general reading, there are 3 passages, same like academic reading, but the section 1, they call it section 1, 2, and 3, and in academic reading, they call them reading passage 1, 2, and 3. So in the first section, which has 1 to 13 questions, we'll have 2 smaller passages or small text, small boxes of text. It could be about hotel advertisements or anything small advertisements given. Now in the section 2, in general reading, that will be from 14 to 26. There are 13 questions, but those will again be divided into 2 smaller texts and smaller articles, which will all be based on work-related issues, applying for a job, maybe company policies, pay, salaries, conditions. That would be section 2. And section 3, that will be 27 to 40, would be one long passage, and it would be more of analytical topics of general interest. So this is how the structure is for the general reading. For academic reading, you will have 3 long passages. These will not be divided into 2 smaller articles. You will just have 3 long passages, 1 to 13, 14 to 26, and 27 to 40. It would usually appear in this sequence. The first passage would be on literary prose. The second passage would be on fiction. And the third passage would be on social scientists and humanities. Social sciences and humanities. So these are the structure of the general reading test and the academic, and there's a very slight difference. Another slight difference which I would like to mention here is that the general reading test is slightly easier than the academic test. You will see that in the conversion table, band conversion table provided to you, which has been explained in the Dropbox video. So you will see that the scoring is slightly higher for the academic reading than the general reading, which means for 40 questions in academic reading, if you get 40 out of 40 and 39 out of 40. So 39 or 40 gives you a 9 band, which is the highest band. 1 is the lowest band and 9 is the highest band. Whereas in general reading, if you get 40 out of 40, you do get 9 band. But if you get 39 out of 40, it's considered as an 8.5 and not a 9 because the level of difficulty is little easier here. So for 39, the person would just get 8.5, whereas in academic reading, if they can get 39 answers correct, they are eligible to get a 9 band score. So you can look at the difference in the slabs in the band conversion table, which has been explained in the Dropbox. Now let's look at the question types for reading. The question types remain the same across for general and academic. There's no difference in the question types. So you could get questions like filling in the gaps in a passage or in a written text or in a table. You may have a table with some words printed and some blanks, or you could get a written passage, a text. You could have some blanks in there. So you have to fill in the gaps, which means it's filling in blanks, filling in the blanks question type. There's another question type which also is filling in gaps. That is the third bullet point here, which is sentence completion or summary completion. You may have a sentence with a blank in it, either the beginning, end, or in the middle. You have to fill in that blank. Or you may get a summary, a passage which is a summary of a text. Summary, they extract one portion of the passage, summarize it, and give it to you in the question booklet. And you have to read the sentences and that summary, and you have to choose words. The words could be a separate group of words given in a box, and you have to write the letters, or it could be words from the text itself. There will be instructions clearly provided as to what you're supposed to do for every question type. So you must read the question instruction and the word limit to be able to know what you're supposed to do and how many words you can use for your answers. The other question type that you see here in the second bullet point is matching headings to a written text or diagrams or charts. So you will have to look at the headings. You'll get a list of headings and you'll get some paragraphs, and you have to choose the best heading or the most appropriate heading for that particular paragraph. We'll go through the tips in the next slide. Here we just look at the question types for now. The next question type is to give short answers to open questions. So you would have a question, which is an open-ended question, and they would tell you in how many words you can answer the question. You have to provide a short answer. When we say short answer, it could be a single word or it could be a short phrase of 2 or 3 or 4 words. Your answer will not be a long sentence. So this is another kind of question that you get in reading passages. Yet another question is answering multiple choice questions, which we generally refer to them as MCQs. That's another question type which you could get. And again, you have to read the instruction, whether you have to choose one answer from the options or 2 or 3, it will be suggested in the instructions. Matching information is another question type where you match the information from the question to that of in the passage. And another last two question types are true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. These are where you have to read the statement in the question and write whether this statement is true or false or not given. You need to identify. So true, false, not given is usually for factual text, and yes, no, not given is for fictional text, where you are writing the opinion of the writer. In the opinion of the writer, is it yes, or in the opinion of the writer, is it no, or it is not. I hope these are clear to you so far. If you have any questions, we can have a question and answer session after this video. So I'll be answering your questions. I'll just be too glad to give you or share my information with you as to how you can understand this reading module better. Now let's look at the reading tips. Now tips are coming all together here, but I'll explain them to you one by one. First is, as I kept telling you, you have to read the instructions carefully and follow the instructions. Many students sometimes are overconfident and think, yes, I know what question this is. I just look at it and I said, yes, I know this. I've done many tests. However, you still need to read it again, because sometimes when it's written that you have to write the answer as true, false, not given, you write the answer. But sometimes when the question is asked whether you should write yes, no, not given, it's said that you have to write yes, no, not given, the student misinterprets it and writes the answer as true, false, not given. Now, if you interchange these answers, it will be marked incorrect. So you have to write the answer as per the question, and in what format it is asked, you have to give the answer in the same format. You could answer the longest passage first, as it is the toughest. As I told you, the level of difficulty of the passages increases in ascending order. So passage 1, 2, 3, out of these three, third would be the toughest. So if you choose to, and if you want to, you can answer the third passage first, then come to the second, and then do the first passage at the end. Your requirement is that you have to complete 40 questions within 1 hour. That is what you are expected to do. In what way you do it, in what order you do it, is left to your choice. It's your freedom to take any passage first, but for 1 hour, you will have all these passages available to you. You can access them, you can flip your pages back and forth, and you can answer any questions. Even if you make a mistake or you think you want to go back to a particular passage or a particular question and change some answers, you can change any answers. Make sure you have the numbers corresponding correctly according to the question number. Your answer should be corresponding to that particular question in the answer sheet. So if you do the third passage first, it will be from 27 to 40. Make sure you write your answers in the OMR sheet from 27 to 40. By mistake, if you start from 1 to 13, then all the numberings would go wrong. These are the common errors some students commit, and then they lose marks and they'll have to do the exam over again. So from the previous experiences, we are advising you to be alert, pay attention, have presence of mind, to always see that your question number and your OMR sheet numbers are corresponding, they are matching. So whichever text you take first, whichever passage you wish to do first, it's fine. It's just that you have to write the answers in the correct slot, in the correct box in your OMR sheet. Now the third bullet point says, begin by reading the questions, then skim the passage, or vice versa. If you are a very proficient reader, an avid reader, you can do the vice versa, which means you don't read the questions first, you read the entire passage and then go to the questions. But for an average reader, it's always better to read the questions first and then skim through the passage. What is skimming? Skimming means fast reading. You're just quickly going through, you're glancing through the whole text. You glance through the questions, read the questions, underline keywords as you're reading, and then go to the text passages and quickly go through it, skim through it, underline the keywords. Then you come back to the question and read in detail. That is the next bullet point, which is scan for specific information. Scan. What does scan mean? In medical terms, when we talk about scanning, suppose I say I want to scan my elbow, a scanner in my elbow will be kept on a table. My elbow will rest on a table, and the scanner will point at that particular point, and it will scan all the details in this local area, in my elbow. So what does it happen? When scanning is done, a detailed study is done of that part of the body, of the organ. Similarly, when we talk about scanning and reading, we're talking about in-depth reading, study in-depth, look for specific details, for small pieces of information within that small text. It may be a small paragraph, it may be a sentence. So you're looking for specific details based on the question that you've read. So that is scanning for specific information or particular details. So that would be the next step. So glance through first, skim through, then read the question again, then read the detail and answer the specific detail for that question. So skimming first and second is scanning. Then you use the summarization technique. Summarization is when you have a long passage with one main heading, you learn to identify the different aspects of each paragraph. So you summarize, read through the whole thing and summarize. What is the first paragraph talking about in this passage? What is the second paragraph talking about? Maybe one paragraph is talking about the causes of something. The other paragraph may be talking about the results. Next passage may be talking about the different, how it affects people, what are the repercussions of that. And another paragraph may be talking about remedies, solutions, suggestions. So you learn to categorize the paragraphs and in your mind you have them in boxes or in compartments. Each paragraph talks about different things. So when you read the question, you know, okay, this question is asking about a suggestion, you go to that paragraph. This another question is asking about what are the causes, you go to that first paragraph. So you've already prepared in your mind, you've got them compartmentalized and you know which paragraph to go through. So that is another good technique which could help you to find your answers correctly in a short span of time. Another very important tip is while you're skimming, skimming as I told you is fast reading. While you're skimming, you have to just move your eyeballs left to right, left to right, left to right, just read fast. Don't even move your lips, keep your mouth closed. Don't keep a pencil or your finger while reading. Just move your eyes, hold the paper or the text in front of you at about 1 foot distance. Don't keep it straight in front of your eyes. Keep it a little lower slanting position and move your eyes and read. Now, while you do this process of skimming, you should not go and reread the words. Because if you reread the words, it's going to slow you down. And then your reading becomes difficult and your understanding again becomes difficult. When you're doing skimming, you're just going through everything fast. Don't go reading the words, just keep moving on. It doesn't matter if you don't understand everything in the first shot, it's okay. Just glance through, read through everything quickly. Then when you're doing scanning, of course, you can go back and read the sentence once or twice or thrice, how many ever times you require till you find your answer, keep reading. But you have to be quick because as you know, you have only 1 hour's time to finish 40 questions. So it also requires a lot of speed. You have to be quick in reading, quick in your comprehension, quick in understanding. You should know, as we're going to see here, you have to know a lot of synonyms and good vocabulary. So we'll come to that in a while. The next point here, the bullet point says to use peripheral vision. What is the meaning of peripheral? Periphery is boundary. So when you're doing reading, to have peripheral vision means to move your eyes away from what you're actually reading. If you're reading a sentence, you're looking at one word and you start reading it. But while you're reading that word, your eyes should move to the next word and your mind starts processing that next word. That is called using peripheral vision. That fastens your reading. It helps you to get a greater speed and you don't have to read word by word, one word for one word by one word. It will be a slower process. To get speed, you read this word, but your mind, your eyes are already moved to the next one and your mind is already set. You're looking at the letters, you know what is there. So you continue reading fast. So that's a very important, good technique to help you in speed reading. That is peripheral vision. Then use a timer. Every day, read a certain length of passage, keep a timer, record your time, see how much time you're taking to read. And you can use a progress monitor and keep track of your reading. So you know how fast you are improving. Use key synonyms to identify answers. Synonyms means using different words which giving the same meaning. So different words which give the same meaning are called synonyms. And in reading, you also get something called parallel expressions. Now, if it is one single word, which gives two different single words giving the same meaning or a similar meaning, it's called a synonym, one word. But what if you get a group of words in the question and a different group of words in the passage? You get a phrase. A phrase is a part of a sentence. It's not a complete sentence. It's a group of words. It's a phrase. You may get one phrase in the question and a different phrase in the passage, but the meaning is the same. These words, these phrases mean same. So those kind of phrases are called parallel expressions. They run parallelly. They run parallelly, giving the same meaning. You can't call them synonyms because they're not single words. So they're called parallel expressions. It's plural. There are groups of words. So you have to be very good in your knowledge of synonyms. In our Dropbox, as we have already shared with you in the other video, you have common synonyms, topic-wise vocabulary for you to enrich your vocabulary skills and your synonym knowledge. Be equipped with rich vocabulary because in the reading passages, they use a lot of literal words, not just the common words you use on a day-to-day basis. You use a lot of words which are used only for reading passages. They're literal words, literary words. So here, only if you equip yourself with rich vocabulary, you'll be able to know the meaning of the word, remember it, and identify the meaning and choose your answer. Many a time, students miss out on marks because they say that they didn't know the meaning of that particular difficult word and they lost that 1 mark. How unfortunate, right? That should not happen to you. You should know the vocabulary. You should know difficult words' meanings so that you'll understand, yes, this means this, so I know the answer comes from this passage. You'll be able to identify and choose your answer. And the last bullet point says, points are lost for incorrect spelling. If the spelling is wrong, you lose 1 mark. You do not get 0.5 or 0.25. It's either 1 or 0. There's no fractions of marks here. So please make sure that you copy the correct words from the text passages to your answer sheet. For reading, there should be no way that you will get a spelling error because all the answers are provided in the reading passages. You should not be getting a spelling error. Yes, if it's listening, you may get a spelling error because you're listening and using your own spelling knowledge. But in reading, this should not happen because all your answers are from the text itself. There's no way you're going to get a spelling error. You just have to pay attention and make sure that you write the correct word from the passage to your answer sheet. All right. So wish you all the best for your reading practice. Thank you for listening to this, to these tips and techniques and structure. Now I'm going to take you through a passage and I'm going to explain to you how the answers come about, how to search for your answer, how do we explain synonyms and parallel expressions, or they may rephrase the sentence. In the question, you may have subject, verb, object. In the passage, it may be object first, verb, and then subject. Okay. So now let us look into the particular passage and look at some practical work. Just give me a minute, please, while I share that screen with you. Thank you. Let's look at this passage now. This is a reading passage from a general